as having the triceps move independently of the or dependently on the biceps because they work together. They'll flex the biceps, but they'll still keep the triceps flexed, and that's not really how that works. Um, and it just doesn't look very natural. And it looks cool, you know. It looks like it's all strong and muscly superhero stuff, but when you're drawing regular people, that sort of thing really looks funky and not in the good way. Um, Brown here, give that a little bit more definition on that highlight. Try to get a little bit of gradient there. Probably come back in with more brown here to build up a little more definition. This area of the back, first of all, it has like a dozen or more planes or whatever. I've never actually counted them. I don't know how many planes, but a bunch, and none of them are at like straight angles from each other. So there's a lot of weird interplay of light that's very unique to that area that most other areas on the body don't have. Because like between the legs, it basically just is a cast shadow, and the roundness of the leg kind of builds a gradient, and I mean it's not super complex, but it's not as complex. It's definitely nowhere near as complex as the small of the back. So trying to estimate, especially doing something like this, where I am just, it's a leisurely sketch, to try and estimate that without reference, which is where I'm probably screwing myself. I should probably get some reference for it. Let's see, that's the lower legs. I'm thinking I'm throwing it more. Probably should have added more orange. Let's do a little more gradient here. It's very complicated to try and sort out in the way that I'm sorting out, and it's honestly, that's where I should be studying picture reference and not being so fucking lazy about it. So at this point, I've really thrown a lot of this into dark, heavier values. This area is really, and once it dries, it might start coming back. I'm still going to go another layer of brown on it. The Van Dyke brown, which is the more what I would consider traditional brown. This gradient isn't working out right. Let's do a little softer. I have a habit of trying to pull the gradients into the dry paint, and I'm learning that I need to pull them the other way. To take the edge and like this, because this should be a softer gradient, and pull it back rather than push it forward. That's better. That's too much. Poop. I guess I'll just have to let it slide. So this is Van Dyke brown at the moment. This one needs to be a little bit more. Elbows, they are something I'm struggling with more too. There. Now this is a atmospheric rim light, so it's not going to be, I think in this instance I'm not going to have such a severe rim light, because there's just nothing over on that side, so I didn't shift that correctly. Let's go this way. So I don't normally talk to myself while I'm painting or drawing. Usually I'm listening to music, although a lot lately, last, I don't know, maybe a year or so actually, I've just kind of dealt with being in silence. Over the winter, my studio's in the basement. I'm actually at the kitchen table at the moment. Over the winter, I moved to just drawing in the living room at the on the couch and with the coffee table, and much to my wife's chagrin. The lighting is usually pretty decent there because it's a north-facing window. But I probably ought to move back to my studio since it's getting warmer. My wife seems to want me to. Which, in all fairness, she's been in there as much as I have, because although she hasn't been doing much coloring lately, but she has done quite a bit of coloring on stuff. Digitally. And that's where the computer I use for print prep is, digital coloring. Alright, this looks a little muddled. So now I'm going to go in with the, let's put a little more orange on here. I was going to say I'm going to go in with the brown. This is starting to get a little bit too washed out. Actually, what I'm going to do is let that set, come back in for the swimsuit. Much water. In this case, I want the swimsuit to be really vibrant bright blue. I saw a Dodge Challenger, I think it was, yesterday on the road, and it was a really vibrant, I don't know if it was cobalt specifically, but something very similar to that, blue, and then had these really bright white racing stripes. And that was the inspiration for this swimsuit. I'm not a big Mopar fan, but it was a pretty sexy car. And blue's my favorite color anyways, and it's a character design motif that I've slathered all over Idris, as you can see by the hair. So I thought it'd be fun to do this swimsuit with this motif, with this design. In the event that she would be wearing a swimsuit, that would probably be something she would gravitate towards. Which is, I don't know if she would wear a swimsuit given the waistband. I suppose if it was decently comfortable, she might. So I don't think I'm going to do any sort of gradient on the swimsuit itself, just to help give it a little bit more, well, I don't know, it looks more shiny than I'm aiming at. Might tweak some of this out a little bit. So Soften things up a little bit. Soften that. Soften this. Assuming it wants to. Pull this back out. This is still seeping into the lighter area too much. I don't know, I probably shouldn't have fucked with that because it looks better up here. If I could get it to stay, that might work. All right, yeah, the orange and the brown are starting to. I'm liking where that's headed right now. Might throw a little bit of purple in some deeper areas of the small of the back. Actually, let's start with the brown. I was trying to avoid the purple just to get a good a little bit different lighting technique. Kind of wishing I did start with some really soft purples under the orange, but we'll see how this works. So let's do here, here. Now at this stage, a lot of times the little hints of brown, little kisses, don't need to be gradiented. Is that a verb? Don't need to be muddled too much to do what I'm aiming for. And the little bit of a glassy look to the edges benefits it quite a bit. Let's put that there. Page is getting warped enough, it's starting to get problematic. None of these colors are blended. I mean, outside of like blending on the actual paper. So they're just straight palette colors. That watermark over there. This sort of stuff is where I'm really just, trying to have good brush marks. More so than before, even, because that's too much. Because I knew I could blend and wanted to blend. Still too much. Let's bring that back. I'm starting to get shaky. I should eat something. So yeah, now that I'm doing this, I think going with the brown instead of the purple was a reasonable choice right now. But I don't want to overdo it. I'm getting real fucking close to overdoing it. Let's see. Let's pull this back out a little bit. and just putting the slightest glaze on my brush. Usually the approach I take is putting like the purple on the underside of forms and the brown on the overside, which is kind of what I'm doing here. Is I'm being a little more judicious or a little more generous with the brown than I might normally because of the weird lighting, and that doesn't. I don't know. I think I'm kind of over getting it. This leg, a little heavy. More gradient here. I think I need to blend this in. Just a little bit more right through there. Go back to the regular brown. Blend this in just a bit. More brown. Van Dyke. Now the paper's getting a little too muddled. All right. I'm going to call that done and generally a successful, well, I forgot this arm, a successful attempt at this. Brown. You know, doing this sort of thing, I feel like I've learned what I set out to learn. So, you know, I'm not 100% satisfied with the result, but that's pretty standard for me. I think it's there. I think that the life of it is what's the important thing. You know, I don't. I do comics, so I'm not trying to be super photorealistic. In fact, that's kind of counterintuitive to my general goal. Because I'm trying to tell a story, I don't want people to be like, oh my god, that's a fantastic drawing. But at the same time, I don't want it to look like stupid either. So my goal is to tell the best story, and getting that right balance of art and story is the tricky bit. it's, you know, I started off trying so hard to be a really good draftsman, and there is definitely value in that, but it can quickly work against you as a comic storyteller. So, trying to find that sweet spot of getting the right balance of correct anatomy, correct draftsmanship, good lighting, correct color usage, all of that sort of thing, versus getting the story and the emotion and character. You know, sometimes those things work together if you do it well. Sometimes they become very counterintuitive when you don't expect it. That is very dark. Let's pull this back out a little bit. It's a happy little shoulder blade. All right, let me get you a straight on shot so that you can see. I hope that that's reasonably blurry, or not, reasonably unblurry. And I don't know. I mean, the hands still suck ass, but I think generally, like, this shoulder blade's a little low, I think. But, you know, no reference. Doing it from imagination. I can't complain too much. Anyway, thanks for riding along. I think this technique looks reasonably good in the camera. I want that not so intense. How am I doing this? Oh, that's way red. God damn it. Make my character a redneck. Yuck. All right. Yeah. I think it'll do. Anyway, thanks for riding along. Cheers.